What is up, community? What's up, Simpler team? I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. I'm coming back live here for another Power Hour, Tag a Bag Tuesday Power Hour. Let's get it. Give me some love. All right, so what I like to do, if you are new here, I like to create an overnight watch list every single day, and 90% of my buys from my 500K in profit plus comes from this watch list. So I have been trading for 10 plus years now, but really consistently, I'd say 8 to 7 years. So it's been a nice journey. Every single day, I'm live with my community in the Simpler Trading website under Stock Mavericks. And that's where I'm going to review this watch list. So we're going to go through the watch list right now because I only got an hour together with me and you. And my goal is always to make money together. Let's get rich together was always the hashtag I've used for 10 years. And it continues to stay like that. You know, it's never fun being rich alone. So let's make some money together. Let's see what we can get. The 5 stocks I'm going to bring up to you right now, they're going to have a key thing that you want to realize. We're going to have the stock. We're going to have the pattern I play, and there's only 5 patterns that I play. So there's only 5 if you're not familiar with what I do, but if you like what I do, make sure to follow me longer on YouTube after this, and you can see those patterns. There's tons of different videos on YouTube. I've been on there for a while now. And then you're going to see these key components. I talk about what the stock is, OTC or listed. Then I say what exactly happens and what I'm looking at, why I'm even looking at the stock or what it is. The last thing I'm going to bring up are key levels in the stock. Now, since I am a day trader and I like to buy stocks today and sell them tomorrow, there's always key levels to stocks that you want to pay attention to. So I always put the daily resistance and the daily support. Usually you want to buy as close to the daily support as possible, and hopefully you want to sell above the resistance that next day, hopefully for a gap up or something good like that. And then the last thing is long-term resistance and long-term support. And this is only important if you find a breakout. So those are just the 4 key levels that I have on there. And then we have 5 stocks that I do every night. So no matter what, if you like something else, you're interested in other, not the one that I'm interested in. That's the beauty about the patterns, is it's finding what's worked for me now for 8 years and trying to repeat that over and over again. So BLOZF is one. Oh, one second. I always like to show my Profitly as well. So if you don't follow us on Profitly, you can see every single one of our trades here from 2015 all the way up until now. And I got to update this week so far. But let's dive in and let's explain. If anybody has any questions, I'm always here to help. Never think that I am here. No question is a dumb question. That's the whole reason why I like to be with the community, is we're all kind of bouncing ideas off of each other, and there's tons of different skill levels. So BLOZF is called a 2-year breakout. And why I name this a 2-year breakout is because if I zoom out to the 1-year chart, we officially broke out of that 1-year high earlier. BLOZF is an interesting stock. As I zoom out to now the 5-year chart, you could see it was at $1, and I've seen this even higher. This is actually a cannabis stocks, and cannabis stocks were one of the first ever stocks that I traded all the way back in 2015 when cannabis was becoming legal in Colorado. So like the second state to do it after California. That's when it first started heating up. And BLOZF has actually been around almost since then. The funny thing about BLOZF is they're cannabis related, but they're actually narc related. Sorry if there's a cop out there. I don't mean to disrespect anybody. But what I mean by that is they actually are creating a machine that tries to see if they can test you driving high. So a breathalyzer for cannabis. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, but it is a possible follow-up day. And in my opinion, having news usually starts stocks up, especially the stocks that I like, the specific stocks that I like just from one day to the next. Not looking to long-term these. I'm not telling you guys BLOZF is going to have the next best technology and going to be the Apple of cannabis breath technology. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying there's a possibility to make money today to tomorrow. And if we have a good risk, I'm going to go after it. So that's why I always put my support levels and my resistance, because if they do come by that support, I try to go after it. Now, also, what I like to point out about these stocks is a lot of them have past history of following up. So that means they've ran in the past. As you can see, the stock is gap up, gap up, gap up, also gap up, gap up, gap up, all the way up to that 65 level. And then you can zoom back and you see some more action as well. So that's exactly what I'll be looking for tomorrow in BLOZF, hopefully break out of 65. So what is the purpose now? We got to get in close to 52 because at the end of the day, we're going to have to use that spot as cut. So as of right now, there's a big seller at 180K at 58. So we'll see how it deals with that seller. But if we get a little dip, I've already got a little bit at 56. I already bought some before I got on live. But I'm going to try to buy some more here if it possibly dips. And then we'll look for the gap up tomorrow, hopefully back above 65. And maybe if it doesn't gap to 65 around here and then just keeps pushing. But that would be the whole plan. Very light volume stock compared to what I like. Only has 500K in dollar volume. Usually I like at least $1 million, but we'll see what happens there. The next one is a listed stock, and it's an example that has $75 million in volume. So a lot more higher volume stock. It also has news midday. And then it also has news in the morning that was like earnings. Oh, no, it wasn't earnings actually, was it? Oh, actually, I think they're coming out with earnings after the bell. So got to keep my eyes on that. I don't usually like to bet on earnings, so I actually probably won't end up taking this one. But they got a midday spike, as you can see. Probably going to have to sell a little bit. But they got a midday spike all the way up to 146. So you can see they're hot. Usually I don't love to bet on earnings, so there's a very high chance that I won't go after this one. I didn't know that they had earnings today. I thought they already had earnings. But they had news midday, and they just popped to 140. So getting it at 120 or 18 and getting a pop to 140 would have been beautiful. But as of right now, it's all right. I don't know if I can love that one as much. The next one that we have on there is another listed stock, and that is actually a space listed stock. There's space stocks have been getting fairly hot lately with us going to the moon next month. They say we're going to send off Artemis 2, I think it is, off to the moon. I'm actually over in Orlando, so I always see the updates on it. But this is a first green day, looking for the follow-up green day. The only thing I don't love about this is there's not a lot of follow-up days since February. But also, if you look at the past, there's huge runner days. So I do like the chance of maybe a follow-up. You do want to catch these style of plays on a dip. So usually for me, I'm not going to go after this unless it gives me more of a dip closer to 220 because I got to use 210 as cut. And I like to risk literally 5% or less. I only risk more if it's a hot sector, or if it's like an option. So usually 5% risk. I like to usually risk around. And then the last two I decided to go with. So another energy stock, NFE is an energy stock, and then we have another energy stock, RECAF. And this is a former running OTC stock. You can see it has gap ups in its past. So that's what we would look for, just the gap up day. I mean, it's also got resistance right here at 72, it looks like. So if it holds into the close, maybe we play this for a gap up. I mean, now that I don't like NFE, this is an energy stock that I'd probably lean towards instead. They both have a similar pattern, creating this first green day and looking to kind of follow up here. But this is OTC. The other one is listed, so the other one will move after hours. And the other one has earnings, and I don't like to usually bet on earnings. Look at CDU. Space stock making new highs. All right, and then the last one I put on the overnight watch list was DVLT. This one has earnings tomorrow. It's an AI stock, a big runner. And you see there's follow-up days in the past history of DVLT as well. One green day to the next, looking for those possibilities. You can see it's a former runner. All the things are lining up. So that's why it went on that list. With DVLT, this one did treat me wrong one time and fell out on me before the bell, like literally an hour before the bell. So I do have a little salty taste in my mouth about that one. And then the last but certainly not least is BIAF. And it's hard for me to go after this because I liked it earlier this morning at 190, and it literally went from 190 to $3. So 50% on your money you could have made earlier. We were eyeing this down from our morning watch list. I also make a weekly watch list every single week. We go over it at the beginning of the week. And what was number one on there? BIAF. What was number one on the morning watch list today? BIAF. So it is pretty frustrating we missed that, but it is still a watcher for an after-hour squeezer. These morning momentum plays, we're starting to catch on to them, and I'm starting to make an Excel sheet now, which we'll go over in a little bit together, but an Excel sheet to kind of show what exactly has happened day by day in the BIF stock. And then other morning momentum plays is what we like to call it. Last but certainly not least, now I only put 5 stocks on there, so that's mainly what we're watching. EVTV was great in the first green day. It's up 20%, so you could watch that as well. And then there's another light volume cannabis stock that's creating a first green day, Charlotte's Web. So it's pretty interesting to see 2 cannabis stocks up today. They both are former runners too, so it's like, wow, what's going on here? But this is actually one that touched $1 earlier or close to it. And now it's trying to spike again. You got a first green day. Light volume, 400K only, but some might be brewing in the cannabis sector. That'd be nice. But all right, those are the 5 that we got on the overnight watch list. I always like to stick to one of those or 2 of those 5. I average about 2 trades a night, so I could see myself taking 2 of these overnight. Blowsif I definitely like for a possible gap up. NFE I liked, but now it's harder for me to go after that. So I might look at recap here. I'm going to keep watching this CDU. I do like CDU without a doubt, SIDU. It just has to dip. I don't really want to chase it at highs. It is a listed stock, so listed stocks will close at 8 p.m. Eastern. Maybe we can get a dip after hours. Hopefully it doesn't push too much after hours. Or we'll see. We still have 45 minutes left in the day. We got some time. But nice move so far in SIDU midday. And then with Blowsif, BLOZF, the reason why I like slower moving OTC stocks is you can usually read level 2s. So you could see the huge seller at 58. That's clear that, it doesn't want to go above that for now. So if we get a dip, we'll see if we get filled. You can see what gets filled with the level 2s, where if you were to open up, another one like SIDU, it's a lot harder to pick up on it. I mean, you could still read it, but it's definitely a little bit different here. So NFE we're going to have to take away, even though I did like it. But I thought they had earnings this morning for some reason. It looks like it was today. Instead of NFE, you can just put BIF on there instead. But I'd love CDU to dip. That's actually the one I want listed. I like Blowsif for OTC and CDU for listed, if I'm going to go one or the other. I mean, obviously, recap, we can still watch too. It's holding 70 pretty firmly. But those are the 2 I like. Recap's a little lighter as of right now. Usually news is what gives these stocks a boost, the small cap stocks and the stocks I like. And you can see a good example in that in NFE. Lately, it's been war stocks that have been the ones that are moving, usually news that I don't love. But if you are looking for stocks like that with the small caps, you can actually check out. These words are usually the words that get things going. And today we had a huge running drone stock that just IPO'd, SWMR. I don't know if anybody caught that one, but that one had some huge movement today. And then once that happens, usually other ones could pop up. So it's good to see that. All right. So DVLT is going to dip. Like I said, CDU is really the one I want to dip the most. And then Recaf just made new highs. We'll see if it can get any type of push. The lighter volume is not really giving us a push. Blows if it gets back above 58, I'll start to really get interested because that's the big seller that's holding it down right now. But it looks like there's a decent buyer on Recaf. We'll see what happens there. This BIAF will be a great one to watch after hours. There's possibility of a big squeezer. You want to be where shorts are scared, and that BIAF looks like one of those opportunities where you can find some shorts that are freaked out a bit. Staying a little more patient. I'd say the main thing I'm looking for is a break above 58 for BLOZF. And then for SIDU, I want to see a dip closer back to 220, 215. Now, if there isn't anything that we like this afternoon, or if you don't like anything, there's always opportunities tomorrow that we start to look for. Those morning watchers like BIAF today, 50% move that we had number one on the watch list. I'll go through my list and see what I could find in a little bit. But that was an opportunity and a half this morning. Great way to start the week. Looks like that 100K is moving down slightly for BLOZF. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone have any questions? I'm always here to answer. Let me know. If that buyer gets eaten at 572, so he's coming down, which usually means he wants to get out, or she. And depending on what happens here is usually when I really decide to enter. I personally like to enter in the last hour of the day. Usually hour and a half to hour of the day is when I'm entering. But the last hour is my main time. And then the last 30 minutes is usually when I say that's when you want to start to really commit to something. You know, sometimes when there's so much moving, it's overwhelming to buy. You just have to commit, stick to your plan, which we have in place with those daily support and resistance levels. And then you move on to the next every day, looking to rinse and repeat. NFE just got that random spike and turned back into a barcode stock. I call these barcode stocks. If we had a scanner, we could probably scan these. So it had some movement, but the news was the only thing that really got it going, and then it slowed it completely down. Let's see. You guys got any questions or tickers yourself? Let's look at them. What's up, team? How we doing? How are we doing? I saw Fannie Mae is panicking. Yeah, that's going to probably look good tomorrow. I think Fannie, sorry about that. FNMA and FMCC, I do think are going to look good tomorrow. I agree with you. It looks like Recap ran into a seller, so let's see if that seller pushes it down a bit. But I do like that one for an energy stock that could possibly gap up. 71 is the buyer, so it looks like there's a buyer and a seller now, so we'll keep an eye on that. Blozif has one seller right there at 572. And then we have this CDU that I really want to dip back to 220 area to get some. Those are probably the three I'm going to eye down. DVLT I'll probably stay away from. And then this NFE is what it is, but I'm not betting on earnings. So let's see. I'm still pretty much beating myself up over this BIAF earlier. The amount of push on this thing was amazing. I know this one's very hard with recap with the support resistance. I see what you're saying there. You'd have to really use like 68, I'd say, or 66. So you are reaching a little bit. That's usually why I like to wait until the end of the day to try to go after these. Yesterday we had one that unfortunately when we grabbed it, the last minute it fell down and then it completely bounced today. But usually if you can hold it and they hold their supports into the close, you get the follow-up. That's what we look for. Ideally, you can get in a little early before they break new highs, and then they could come up and possibly break new highs before the close. And then you have an hour cushion for them to either gap up or if they push down, you can get out. That's usually what I really like. RPBPF. I gotta look at that, Johnny. RPBPF. Oh, that one's just too light volume. I mean, it isn't light, but I don't know what that is. It's a new one. What kind of stock is that? Raz Perry. It's always nice to see new ones, so we'll add it to the list. No, thank you for that. It's always nice to see some new ones. Still got 35 minutes left yet, so we got some time. That IPO stock, if you want to watch some fun stuff, SWMR, just got halted on the way down. So it's just getting halted all day. So much volume in and out of this thing. We'll see where that opens up in a little bit. Earlier, him and he was talking about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and these are going to be top watchers tomorrow for panic dip buys. What I call a panic dip buy is a stock that's fallen a big amount in a small amount of time. Well, it's already dropped now almost 10% for a lighter volume. For a stock that doesn't usually do that, that's a pretty big drop. And then you also have long-term support coming up of $5. So Fannie Mae, we'll see if it can actually bounce or become lower. But $5 was $6 was the first spot I thought it might bounce off. Now we look a little higher. But I do like this one, and this will definitely get towards the top of our list on our morning watch list tomorrow. We already got a couple on there. We'll add some more. So first green day, $5, and then FMCC is $4. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which FMCC is the other one, they follow pretty much each other. So usually when one goes, the other one goes, or you could probably catch one before the other. And if you look at FMCC, it's doing the same thing. The support is closer to 4, though, not 5. It's just slightly cheaper. And then we definitely have to keep watching the three that I like here, which would be Blozif for a 3-year breakout. Sea-Doo is still going. Second green day and month breakout. Recaf. And then that DTREF, the volume obviously sucks, and so does the commissions, or not commissions. Whatever you have to pay to get into it is expensive on DTREF, but that's another one that could possibly gap up. Just been holding 33 all day. And it usually just trends up. We'll see if it does another trend up or it gaps down. But DTREF is another one, very light volume, but the to get in is just so expensive. The commissions on it are like fucking $50. Usually it's only $3 for me. I've got Charles Schwab to get me down to $3 because I trade so much with them. 50, you're getting raped. It's falling below 33 anyway, so I wouldn't trust it, especially with those shitty commissions. But SIDU, let's watch to see if this can dip. I really want this closer to 220 here. And then I'm definitely keeping an eye on recap if it keeps holding 70 cents. That's the spot we want to see it hold. It looks like it's getting some sellers right now. But the later we get in the day, the better and the more interested I get to really go after something. And we have 30 minutes left only. I'll probably leave a little bit of my money available for a SIDU possibility after hours. Maybe it gets some sort of push. But I would like a dip before I enter. I'm not entering SIDU all the way up here at 230 highs. It's got to come back down a little bit. That's why I have an alert down here. But impressive day. This is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Let's see how much farther they go. Maybe they'll hit $5 today. I don't want that to happen. I'd rather it happen tomorrow. But I'll put some alerts down there. All right, looks like the big seller is moving down in Blozif. So until that disappears, I don't really want to enter or I'll get caught on a dip. But it looks like we're going to come down a little more because that seller, he's right, or she or he is right there. SIDU doesn't want to dip. Every time it dips, it pops. Look at the volume that's starting to come in there. Nice to see. So somebody's eating away a little bit at this 5645. Let's see if it completely gets eaten away at. But it's very slow, as you can see. Somebody's going through it. You want to see that whole 100K go through, though. And 100K means that's like $56,000 that's sitting there. So usually the whole conspiracy behind it, at least what my pattern would be, it'd be more based off of emotions and thinking that at the end of the day, if 60K is buying and it's continuing to go up, that's a good sign for a possibility. Oh, here comes a little dip. It looks like it's trying to sell off. So sometimes when that big seller wants to get out, it starts to sell like this, which is happening right now. Let's see if it gets filled at all on this push down. All right, so let's see if we get this full fill on this downward trend. But this is what usually when you want to try to get yourself in on the way down. All right, so let's see if it can hold. The official breakout is 52. So that officially is a spot you want to see it hold. If you are going to try to take it overnight, you want to see it hold that spot for a possible gap up there. So we're getting closer to 52, but if it does hold that in the last couple of minutes here, that's definitely a sign that we're going to try for a follow-up. Man, I do like this CD. What a strong close there. That would be the opportunity that I would say after hours. Keep an eye on this in BIAF. So if I were to go in here at 55, 54.5, you would be using 52 as cut. So you'd be risking about 5%, which for a stock that's up 25%, 30% earlier, that's not too bad. Risking 5% there. The later, the more chance you have not to get your cut. So that's why I like getting in a little bit later. So let's start to put some limits in there. Let's see if we can start to get filled up down here. I think it's holding long enough. We still have 20 minutes left, but I do like a dip. And that's what we got there. Recap as well, showing a little bit of a spread now, so I'm not going to touch that yet. But I do like that one as well still for a possible gap up. And energy stocks are starting to move a little bit as we saw that NFE earlier get a spike. Slowly trying to add more or get some of this explosive here on this dip. It just got some pretty big volume, but I think that was the big person selling because I don't see the big seller here anymore, which is usually a good sign. We might have to start going after it here. So let's do it. Yeah, exactly, Toby. Usually I personally like to wait for the pressure to push back up at the end of the day, but I think what just happened there was the seller just drove itself down and just decided he wanted to be out. But that's why you want to pay attention to that for sure. Great question. That was a great question, Toby. SIDU does not want to give us a dip, unfortunately. Himini, you're bringing up another one, BELR. Let me check that one out. Look at Fannie Mae coming lower. So the panic continuing in FNMA. You got a bigger panic there. What was the one that you were looking at, Himini? Hold on. Oh, so I'm not able to get to the Excel sheet because we're doing YouTube live together. But this morning momentum play is something that if you are interested, come join me. We'll go over it tomorrow. It's definitely something that I do think is going to be a really, really great factor to our buys in the morning. A lot of my buys are afternoon buys, but we do go live in the morning together to go over sells. And also with sells come possible other buys. And this buy looks pretty good here, in my opinion. Speaking of drone and defense stocks, we have KRKNF, which is a robotic stock that their partner company just got a $20 billion deal. And they're creating a nice little curl here. So I'll keep my eyes on this also tomorrow morning. What the heck is that? That's a wild move. Belrose cap. Looks like it had some nice spike there. So tomorrow, KRKNF will be another one we'll have on that morning watch list. We got a nice little morning watch list for tomorrow. And then that other morning runner for a possible morning runner was HCWB, and it's holding. So HCWB is definitely still a possibility for a squeeze tomorrow. Very similar to what I was looking for this morning in BFAI. Or sorry, what was it? BIAF. Very similar. And it ended up squeezing pretty big. So keep our eyes on that HCWB for a morning momentum play. It's below $1, so a little more risky. Let's see if there's any opportunity into the close. The only way I'm going to go after CDU, which I do like a lot, is if it starts to dip back down a little bit. And luckily for that, there will be movement after hours, but there's also a possible chance it just keeps going after hours. Space stocks and robotic stocks, I do think this year they both have big years, both those sectors, as well as Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's going to bounce pretty nice. But space and robotic are just part of the future, it seems like. And now that we're going to we're going to the moon, and then you got robotic stuff happening with war and everything now, drones. It's definitely where the future is heading, those sectors. And usually I like to play sectors that are hot. Got 15 minutes left in the day. SIDU continuing to push. CDU just doesn't want to dip that thing. Just doesn't want to dip for us. And then Blozif still holding, but also hasn't pushed yet either. So we're waiting right now. I do see myself getting to Blozif within the next 5 to 10 minutes right now if it keeps holding. What about the Miami Dolphins? As a big Miami Dolphin fan, what a crazy time it's been. We're in March Madness. Sports is going on like crazy. But what about the Miami Dolphins? They got a fire going on. So anybody that's worried about a lost day or a red day, if you had one of those days today's, put it behind you. Tomorrow's a new day. the Miami Dolphins are going to be paying an extra, I think, 120 million or 160 million next year for people that aren't even on their team. Tua's gone to Atlanta. Waddle just left the Broncos, and they're going to continue to pay them. But it was definitely due. And that's what happens when you need a clear house. And sometimes it's like that in the market. Have a couple red days, you lose an account or two. Eventually you bounce back, and you're bigger than ever. So sometimes you got to do it. All right, FNMA. I don't know what's gonna happen, but $5 is definitely key. This CDU, what a strong close there. Wowzers. Man, oh man, a midday buy in CDU would have been nice. And then Blozif, I'm gonna go after. I think it's about that time. We'll see CDU after hours, possibly. DVLT, watch that after hours. And then definitely BIAF is a really good one to watch after hours for sure. All right. So we're going for the Blozif, looking for the gap up here into the end of the day. We have 10 minutes left. Our average is 555. 5555. And if you are with, get those alerts sent out to you. I don't usually say I'm one of those people to tell you to copy alerts, but I usually say there's ways to learn, definitely. And there's different patterns out there, so you don't just want to play exactly what I go after, but we're going to see if we can get a push here into the close. Let's see if it gets any push here into the close. All right, let's see if we can get a push there. SID will be the other one we'll be watching here for an overnight play, but it's got to get a little dip like I talked about. And then that recap, I might do some into the end of the day, but Blowzip's going to be my main watch here. Let's see if we can get above 57. It's having a hard time with that spot right now. Looks like it just ran into another big seller. And then the other cannabis stock that's very light volume, Charlotte's Web, is also creating new highs. So that one's way too spread to go after. Oh, it actually closed. No, yeah, it's a little bit too spread for me to touch compared to this one. That's why I like it better. But you can see two cannabis stocks, interesting enough, hanging around here. Two cannabis, one space stock. Let's see if there's any gap up to it. Charlotte's Web, new highs. That's a pretty nice push to new highs there. And it's got some buyers that just came in. Are we going to get some cannabis news? January was the month that they actually decided to deschedule cannabis. And that's when a lot of these cannabis stocks, if you go back to MSOS, that was usually the ETF that runs the cannabis stocks. And they went crazy when that news came out, but came all the way back down after that. Would love to see something happen. I mean, you don't need cannabis to do anything for these to do stuff, but usually it's a bonus on top if something like that happens. It looks like the seller we ran into is going to push it down a little bit. So we'll just stick to our cut. We're going to hope it holds that 52 into the close in the last 8 minutes here. I really want some SIDU, but it just continues to move up. There was a new video that I just released on how to create alerts after hours. So if you aren't someone that knows how to do that, go check out my YouTube. That video is actually amazing. Just created it. Thinkorswim alert setup, after hours alerts. It's very beneficial. And then if you don't follow me on social media, make sure to go follow me on Instagram under Stock Snipers. And then on Twitter, it's Stock Sniper Team. But go show some love. Say what's up. Posting usually on there every day. Man, SIDU. Talk about an overnight, after hours winner. Even if we chased it up here, we're almost up 10%. Down here would have been the gold spot. We're creating a nice green day there, and that's one we've been watching forever. That BELR is wild, Himony. But a little too risky for me. But nice push. So if you are one of those people that don't like anything and you decide you don't want to buy anything right now, uh, so there's 8 stocks on the screen, Anthony, if you're on the live. So it's a plethora of stocks. But I try to zoom into the ones I'm mainly watching. This would be a cannabis stock. This other one would be a cannabis stock. So both the cannabis stocks are doing something pretty interesting. This one's actually creating a bigger green day here, Charlotte's Web. Nice to see there. And then SIDU is that last one we had on the overnight watch list. All of these stocks that I'm watching are coming from that list that I created earlier with the team, which was the overnight watch list. So it's not just like I'm watching random stocks. We have 5 stocks that we've been watching now all hour. And every Tuesday at 3 p.m., I try to go live on YouTube. But every single day with my community and Simpler Trading under Stock Mavericks, we go live and we try to find some winners every day. And what a runner CD was. If you do like DVLT, that was one I stayed away from, but you usually want to enter in the dips. So instead of chasing high a day, see if this thing could dip a little lower and go after it. And that's exactly what you can do right now. But I'm going to stick with that BLOZF. That's the only one we have right now. And then we're keeping an eye on this SIDU possibly after hours, BIAF after hours, and Fannie Mae tomorrow, all the way back down to $5. It's already trying to bounce, but I do think we're going to push tomorrow. We got 5 minutes left. This is usually when I say we look for the buzzer beater pushes. Recap, I think I might go very light there, but I'm not going to alert that one. But if you guys want to try it with me, 70 cents would have to be your cut there. BLOZF is getting alerted here. 55.55 is where we bought it. Looking for hopefully a gap up close to 65. That'd be a great, great gap up if that happens. Oh, wash out Wednesday on deck. What you talking about, Willis? The thing about my strategy is no matter what type of market we're in, up, down, or side to side, it don't matter. You usually can find opportunity. And lately things did slow down. Obviously, oil stocks have heated up, but bigger stocks slowed down a bit because of the war. And there still has been a lot of opportunity here in what we do day in and day out. Let's see where these things decide to close. You usually want to push into close, just like you got from recap right there. That's usually what you look for. If they don't push, you just want to make sure they hold their cut spots, which their cut spots, whatever stock you got in, hopefully has a support spot that you can cut off of. And that's why I always put the support spots here. Tomorrow morning, 8CWB will be a possible big runner. Yesterday's morning's big runner was BIAF. Had an absolutely unreal run, 50% right from our weekly watch list and number 1 on our morning watch list. So we'll look for possibility 8CWB. I don't like it as much as BIAF, but this one's still hanging around, and maybe it can create that leg up tomorrow. We'll see. But that'll be one that we'll be watching early in the morning when we go live at 9:15 with the team. All right, so we got two-minute warning is what I like to call it at the Heat games. They say 2 minutos because I've been a Heat fan all my life. Speaking of the Heat, what about my man Bam Adebayo? 83 points. Don't be a hater. Embrace it. You're living in history. Instead of hating, live in it. That's all I got to say about that. I'm a Heat fan, so I'm biased. But let's go bam. Let's go bam. And then we got some March Madness coming up. So I'm excited. These power hours should get fun the next couple of weeks because we'll probably be watching some March Madness with it. STAK, you said you've been in? I seen that one. That was an oil one from earlier. That's like a China oil stock. You got to be careful with these China stocks and these oil stocks. If they go, they go. But usually when they die, they die. But I see what you're seeing there. I pick up on your drift, Mr. Splackovel. Sorry if I screwed that one up. All right. Well, every day is a blessing to be able to hang out with you guys. I do enjoy all you guys that showed up on my live stream today. Much love to you. If you did take BLOZF with us overnight, we're looking for the gap up. Hopefully it pushes more towards 65 by tomorrow morning. If you like recap, you can try that. That SIDU is definitely my main watcher after hours until 8 p.m. And if you don't know how to make an alert after hours, I'll do a little bonus for you. I already made a video about it, but the bonus is you press add drawing. You add a price alert or a price. Once you press on that, you make the line, you right click it, put create alert with drawing, crosses below because I want to put it down. And then after hours, you will get alerted if that does start to move. So I'll do one for the way up as well. Add a drawing. We'll do it at like 2:45. And then you right click it, create alert. Thank you, Himini, for teaching me this. And then add her above, crosses above. And there we go. And that's where we're going to really close it out. Keep an eye on these after hours. BLOZF ended up holding. Nothing really too crazy out of it. Recap, we'll see if it can gap. CDU, it's going to keep moving, so keep watching it. Other than that, we'll take it. We'll keep an eye on HCWB and BIAF after hours. Also, this Charlotte's Web had a pretty close. That's what I was looking for out of BLOZF. The Charlotte's Web did it instead. Really impressing there. But let's keep taking it one day, one trade at a time. Catch me live in the Simpler Trading website under Stock Mavericks if you guys enjoyed it. I'm live twice a day, every day. All right, team. Stay safe out there. Enjoy your Tuesday. Keep being the best versions of you. And I'll see all you guys soon.